What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy, and I'm coming at you with another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Hot Toys Darth Maul and Sith Speeder set from Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. For a while now, I've been saying I've been falling down the Hot Toys slippery slope. I would say at this point I'm just at the bottom of the slope, and it's just raining Hot Toys on top of me, because Hot Toys has me in an absolute chokehold as a Star Wars collector as of late. One of these being the Darth Maul with Sith Speeder set. I mean, this is just a rule of cool pickup. The second that I saw this revealed, I was like, yeah, I need this in my collection. This is something I have to have. And as a one-off, as a display all on its own, I'm really excited to get this open. Fun fact, I did already record an entire review for this set. However, I was having some issues with my camera being out of focus, so I turned off the camera to fix that issue, and I never turned the camera back on. So I lost about an hour of recording on that. So this is actually attempt number 2 of recording this review. So hopefully we don't have any slip-ups or hiccups along the way. As far as this set goes, this is the Sideshow exclusive version. You can see designated by the Sideshow exclusive sticker on the top right there. This just basically means that it comes with a little commemorative coin on the inside, which we'll get into later. However, everything else is pretty much the same with this set. I did pre-order this through Sideshow.com. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by the sticker on the box, Sideshow is the place I go for pretty much all my Hot Toys orders and pre-orders. They're very reliable, a great resource here for United States collectors. So this box here, this is the same height as your average Hot Toys box, just a little bit wider to accommodate for the vehicle and the tons and tons of accessories that this Darth Maul set comes with. On the front here, you can see a nice glam shot of the figure kind of jumping over the speeder. This shot in particular was the one that really did me in on this and made me slap that pre-order. I gotta give it to the Hot Toys team for how good they do on those initial reveal photos for those figures. Down below that, you're gonna have a nice chrome Star Wars logo with a little wraparound banner that covers the lid of the product box here. And on the front, you have another glam shot of the product. You have the MMS number. This is MMS 749. You also have the name of the set here. You have your Hot Toys logo down at the bottom, and it's done in a nice, vibrant red. On this side of the packaging, you just have another little name for the set here, and then on the other side here, you get another glam shot. You get Darth Maul, just the figure itself without the cloak on and all that extra stuff. Looks awesome. On the back of the box, you're gonna get all your legalese, things that we don't care about all that much, but legally they have to throw on the boxes. On the bottom here, you get a Star Wars logo, and then on the top of the box, you're gonna get the exact same thing, another Star Wars logo there. With the packaging covered, let's just get this lid off so we can check out the contents. Lifting off the lid of a Hot Toys product is always so premium, even though I've literally already opened this one, which I don't typically do for my reviews. It feels so premium every single time. You get a nice insert under the lid here, which you do get with pretty much every Star Wars Hot Toy. It's great here. Another glam shot. You can see this is actually the alternate head sculpt, which they do include with this set in the background there. Again, just that nice, vibrant red hue blends in nicely with the lightsaber. You can see the little Seeker droid back here, and you get the dunes of Tatooine there. Just amazing. I really should get a bunch of these framed, maybe for like a poster book or something, because all of these that I have a bunch of Hot Toys now, and I really love the artwork, and it's sad that they have to like live inside the box after I'm done opening them. Removing the insert, no tape or glue necessary to remove that, which is great, and then we are left with the contents of the box. This thing is loaded. There's like 3 layers of accessories here, so I'm really excited to check this out. Let's get it opened, and we'll check out the figure first. Alright gang, here is Darth Maul out of the box, and first impressions, I'm really blown away by the face sculpt, especially on this guy. But again, just how much detail there is to this costume. With a character that wears all black, it can be very easy for the details of the costume to get drowned out because everything is the same color. However, Hot Toys does a great job mixing media with plastic and soft fabric, and also just giving you different textures, different sheens to the materials, so that everything really stands out and makes the character look much more realistic. Taking a closer look at Lord Maul here, I mean, this face sculpt really is amazing. Honestly, this gave me a similar reaction reaction to when I opened the Hot Toys Grand Admiral Thrawn from Ahsoka, which I do also have a review for here on YouTube. However, this one just is so realistic, like that Thrawn, that it just kind of blows you away. I mean, all Hot Toys head sculpts, I would argue, are works of art, but in this case, they just found a way to really do it well. The way that the light hits the skin and it looks like Ray Park wearing the Darth Maul makeup, it's that level of realism. You can see the pores as the light hits his skin and I turn his head different ways. It's really amazing. Of course, you have the rolling eyeballs inside the head as well, which I will show you in a minute here. But one thing I want to point out here is these horns are so sharp. I found myself, when I opened this before, you know, the review that I didn't hit record on, I found myself poking myself with these horns and actually being like, ow, like those are really sharp. And again, just all of the face tattoos, all the paint, everything looks so phenomenal. And I'm really happy they even painted his little earring. If you know the lore on that, you can look up Ray Park Phantom Menace Darth Maul earring story. It is really cool. I love that detail there. They painted it on the front of the ear and even on the back of the ear as well. Just amazing levels of detail. That's what's to be expected from Hot Toys. Removing the head is very easy to do. You'll see there's this like clear piece, and then we'll get a closer look at the head here. Just such an amazing sculpt. The eyes do individually move. We'll give them a little cross-eyed look for the rest of this overview here, but I think this is a really great feature. There is a tool, which I will show you later if you can't get your finger up in there, to move the eyes around, but I found it to be pretty easy to do so regardless. Taking a look at the costume again, it's like I expected it to be so much more plain, so much less effort than was made. It's so many different layers. So you have this outer layer here with lots more fabric, lots of different fabrics that are stitched together here. The ruffles on the outer kind of collar, I guess I'll call it, of that outer tunic looks great. Everything's very baggy. Everything feels very real. I can already tell this guy's going to get a lot of mobility with this costume. And then underneath that, you have his undershirt, which is a completely different fabric, a completely different texture, and everything feels great there as well. And it's amazing the stitching that they do for these guys. Taking a look at the elbows here, you get the stitching pattern changes again, and it kind of helps to accommodate the gloves, because the gloves are interesting. So you have the hard plastic for the cuff of the glove all the way up until the wrist, and then the hand part of the glove is actually a sculpted plastic as well. However, when you remove the hands, you do have pleather underneath. Now these pleather cuffs, I really don't like these. I have these on my Clone Wars Maul, and I've heard my friends that have Darth Vader figures have issues with this as well. These just have a tendency to like ride up near the wrist peg, so when you're trying to swap hands, it can make it very frustrating to do so from time to time. However, I will say this figure is really nice because you can just pop off the entire glove here and then just pop off those little cuffs there, those pleather cuffs. And because the wrist pegs themselves are also black, it's not really going to be too much of an issue for you. You know, you're not going to notice too much of a difference here with the gap between the wrist and the rest of the glove. So it's up to you. It's up to preference. I think I'm going to leave mine because I've actually had a little less trouble with this one. I think that the cuffs of the gloves help a lot with that, as opposed to some other characters. But I mean, it's up to you. I wanted to give you just the heads up though, if you haven't messed with a Hot Toy, because spoiler alert, I do recommend this as like a first Hot Toy because it is so easily posable and all that good stuff. But looking down here at the belt, we do have a couple, again, layers to the belt here, and look at all these little facets. Those are little individual faux metal pieces, but they have a nice shine to them. You can see in the back, the belt is just Velcroed in the back, which is great because you can technically take all the clothes off these guys if you want to switch things up or customize them. They make it very user-friendly in that way. And you can see here he also has his clip for his lightsaber, which is great. Now, this outer part of the tunic comes down and it kind of flows into all these different layers here. We got 5, 6, 7 pieces right here on the front that are all individual pieces of fabric. All of these have some, I guess I'll call it wiring to them, so that as you move it around, you can pose it around so that he's actually maybe moving or the wind is blowing. You also have larger pieces on the back that do the exact same thing. Don't even have to really mess with it at all or fold it much, and it'll just stay however you remove it. I think it's great. It's very seamless, not thick wires in here that would really kind of ruin the silhouette of this character. I think it's done very well. Underneath all that, we just have basic black pants. Again, these are very loose, and I can feel some padding where the thighs are here as well, which I'm assuming is for him sitting on the vehicle. But it is very, very nice. Plain. It doesn't need to have a bunch of detail or texture to it because look at all this stuff that's covering it. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. And then the boots. Darth Maul's boots are probably some of my favorite boot designs in all of Star Wars. Look at all that detail. They even have some grime in here on the top and especially on the soles too. You can also see some on the back. I like to think that that is just the sands of Tatooine getting caught up in Darth Maul's boots. It's amazing. I mean, the level of detail here is just great, and that's to be expected from Hot Toys. But again, with a character like Darth Maul, you can really appreciate the intricacies of the costume a lot more because it's all black. I mean, there's only so much you're going to notice on screen or even in, visual dictionaries and encyclopedias. So having the ability to really look at these figures in depth and just seeing the lengths that Hot Toys go to really give you all that detail, it really makes me appreciate the costume more. All right, moving on to covering Darth Maul's articulation here. So the way that the head works, it's almost like a barbell system, and it's going to give you all kinds of range here. So you have a joint up at the top, kind of in the head where you connect there, and then you also have one towards the base of the neck here. So Darth Maul is able to look down a good amount, which is great. I keep poking myself with these horns, but you can also get him to look up a fair amount as well, which is awesome, especially because of how acrobatic this character is. You're going to want as much range of articulation as possible with a character like this. Obviously, you're going to be able to get some really nice tilt for some attitude, as well as your basic right and left here. Looking at the shoulders do have a butterfly joint, which is always great for a lightsaber wielding character. You're going to want that so they can really reach in front of themselves and hold that saber in two hands. He's also going to have a hinge and swivel system there, so the hinge is going to get you to that 90-degree mark, so he can T-pose, which is great. And then, of course, he does have technically a 360-degree swivel here at the shoulder. However, with all Hot Toys, the limitations are with the fabric. I will say that Darth Maul has a lot more range than a lot of other Hot Toys because of how loose all of the clothing is, so they did a great job with that. He does also have a bicep swivel under there, and this is a double jointed elbow. However, it is pinless technically according to like action figure terms, and it does have really great range, as you can see. I mean, really similar to the human anatomy. Honestly, I can't bend my elbow much more than Darth Maul can here, and that is grade A articulation there. Down at the wrists, you do have a hinge and swivel because of the wrist pegs. So whatever way you twist the wrist is kind of how the hinge will move on the wrist peg there. And again, you might run into some issues with the hands falling off just due to the pleather cuff that's in there too. Taking a look at the midsection here, you're going to have a nice ball joint at that midsection, and as you can see, you can get a lot of range out of that. Lifting up all of these flaps here, you can see he does also have ball joints at the hips, and because of how loosely the pants fit, you're also going to get a ton of range out of those hips, which is awesome, especially again for such an acrobatic character. That's what we want to see. And you can also get a thigh swivel rotation is in there. You do have double jointed knees as well. I'll lift up more of that. And again, the bend there is great. Honestly, very similar again to the human anatomy as far as limits go. And that is a great thing to say for a Hot Toy, especially one that he has a vehicle with him, so he's going to be sitting in that. You're going to want him in some crouched poses. They even show it on the front of the box, how crouched you can get that guy. The one bit of articulation that I wish wasn't maybe so limited is a good word, is the ankle here. I like what they did where they made this all one sculpted piece from the bottom of the boot up towards the top. However, as I play with it more, it has more give, but you can't really get a whole ton of forward or back out of it because especially the back, it's kind of pulling. You can get really good pivot out of it though, which is good. And as I work with it more, the forward gets better. Overall though, especially for Hot Toys, this is really great articulation. Those elbows and knees really do it for me and really tell me that this is grade A articulation for this figure, and I'm gonna have fun when I'm posing him. All right, and now we begin the bountiful amount of accessories on this figure because he definitely is not shortchanged changed in the accessory department. Our first accessory here, and this is what makes this the special edition, is this, I'm going to call it a challenge coin here. So in 2024, when this got revealed, Hot Toys was doing a Dark Side program where they released a lot of villains throughout the year, and they included with some of them special editions with these commemorative coins. This is real metal. I don't know what kind of metal it is, but it is real metal. It says Darth Maul, and it says Galactic Empire at the bottom there. It's in gold. You have a portrait of Darth Maul, and on the back it just says Star Wars. You have some other etchings and kind of your copyright and stuff like that. This will probably go on with my challenge coins in my collection for like the 501st Legion. It'll make for a great addition there. Just a nice little extra throw in for the pack. Now I did allude to this on the front of the box. However, we do have an alternate head sculpt for Darth Maul here. Taking a look at that. Here you get a very, very nice screaming expressive face. This is amazing. And again, the rolling eyeballs, you can just get some really freaky looks out of this guy. You can see even just like this, just a basic pose here, those eyes kind of looking off at you as he's screaming. Look how grotesque those teeth are. The tongue is painted. Everything just looks so nice here. And again, the horns are sharp. All of the paint apps look great. Again, they got that earring deco there. And just a fantastic accessory. And honestly, this might be the one that ends up on the figure at the end of the review. And of course, this is what that head looks like on the figure. Very angry, very expressive, very fitting for Darth Maul, especially from the Phantom Menace. And of course, being a Hot Toys release, it is pretty customary for these guys to come with a plethora of swappable hands. So the ones you get out of the box here are just some open idle hands. These are great for just standard idle positions. However, you do get, and this is a great one for Darth Maul, you get this set of very splayed out expressive hands here. You could use these as like a force push hand, or just like he's reaching out, maybe he's falling on the ground, picking himself up. These are very, very nice to have. Swapping the hands is pretty easy, especially on newer Hot Toys. They've made it more user-friendly. Some older Hot Toys can be very, very frustrating to swap hands on. All you do is simple as that. And here are how those hands look on the figure. You'll see these are very fitting for this character. Darth Maul also comes with a pair of hands that are very close to the open idle hands. However, these ones have the pointer finger and the thumb a little bit closer to each other. These are for gripping the binoculars. That's what I'd imagine these are for. As I did my, first look at the figure, this is really the only thing that I see these hands being practical for. Still awesome though that they give you a specific set of hands for holding that accessory. Of course, we do have some C gripping hands here. These are just for holding the lightsaber or maybe some other accessories, like some sort of handheld weapon. These are always great to have. Obviously, these are kind of an essential for this kind of a release. And then Hot Toys sometimes does this thing where they release different hands that only go for one hand as opposed to doing them in pairs. So for the left hand, you do get a closed fist. You cannot fit any accessories in here. It's close enough to this kind of C gripping hand. It's, as you can see, it's not very different. The only difference is you can't put anything in this hand. So if you want him to have a fist, you can still do that. And then of course we do have I would call this a more true C gripping hand here. Just again, another option. Always good to have options when you have different accessories. And we'll see some of these other hand options in action when we're putting different accessories in Darth Maul's hands. One thing that's really, really cool though, in my opinion, is this little extra bracer accessory that comes with a swappable cuff for the glove here. So this is made for the left hand, as this is for Darth Maul to call on his seeker droids. As you can see, it's very easy to pull one off and put the other one on here. You can get your hand back on there, no problem at all. And then Darth Maul can have his bracer there. Honestly, I'm going to be posing mine with the Sith Speeder, so we're just going to leave that on for the rest of the review. Now, obviously, one of the most iconic moments in The Phantom Menace was, realizing that Darth Maul had the first ever dual-bladed lightsaber on screen in Star Wars back in 1999. So, they obviously will give you that dual-bladed lightsaber. This is the hilt here. It's got great, vibrant paint applications for the reds there. And you can also see there is the clip to hang this on his belt. And what's really cool about this lightsaber hilt is they did give you the ability to split it in half, as during the Duel of the Fates, Obi-Wan does cut Maul's saber in half. And what's even cooler is they actually give you a little swap out peg that has the kind of chopped version with the exposed circuitry there, so you can replace that into the bottom of the hilt, and now you have a much more seamless looking separated lightsaber hilt. This is something I'm really excited, and I wish they would have included with the Clone Wars Darth Maul. Of course, as is pretty customary with the newer lightsaber wielding Hot Toys, you do also get the USB light up LED versions of this, so you get the dual bladed version, and they do actually also give you the single bladed version, which I thought was pretty cool actually, considering Darth Maul is much more well known to have the double bladed version. But it's awesome that Hot Toys gives you every single option possible. For the sake of my review, I'm not going to be showing off that light up feature just because I'm not going to use it for my display. I don't think it's very bright. I think it's pretty gimmicky actually, so I'm actually not even going to be doing that for my display. And then of course, what would it be if we had the lightsaber, but not the lightsaber blades? So you do obviously get two of the just idle lightsaber blades. These are not in any swooshing motion or anything like that. The hue of red is okay. However, again, for some reason they make it paler because they want to encourage that LED use. I honestly would prefer if you gave me just deep saturated versions of these, so that I could display it without the LED, and then it wouldn't feel so kind of almost like pink or purple in this case. But they do fit in there very securely, and they're very easy to pull out. They're not going to fall off if you have them displayed on the figure. And of course, Hot Toys goes the extra mile as always, and they do give you two swooshing blade effects. These are a very deep red. I like these ones a lot. And you can kind of see where the lead of the blade is versus the kind of path behind it. I like that a lot. And attaching those to the figure also looks really nice. You can kind of see if I get the swooshing motion going this way, you can kind of see how the trail goes behind it, and it looks great in action poses. Moving on to the second layer of the accessory trays, you do have a separate soft goods piece for the outer robe that Darth Maul wears, specifically in the hologram scenes, but also on Tatooine when he first duels with Qui-Gon Jinn and tries to decapitate Anakin Skywalker and end the whole franchise. This thing is nice too. You can feel wires all throughout kind of the sections here where you can see the stitching on the inside. There is even a clip so that you can actually, it's functional, you can clip this together. The hood is also wired, and it is stitched down at the end here, so you can very easily get that nice silhouette from those Tatooine scenes. They also stuck some wires in on the long sleeves, which is great too, so those don't have to sit and be so stagnant when you are posing the figure around. We will put this on Darth Maul towards the end of the review because this is how I'm going to display him, is with this on. Moving on to the next layer of accessories, we have the other major piece of this figure set here, that being the Sith Speeder. We'll move Darth Maul off to the side, and you can see this thing looks phenomenal. This thing actually has light up features as well. You can see a little input down here with, again, the micro USB setup, so that you can actually have the lights activate on the back here, and I believe there's somewhere else where there are lights too. It's just amazing the level of detail that Hot Toys gives you on everything. They think about everything. And then of course you see all the detail here. I like how everything looks kind of sandblasted, and which is perfect obviously because he's riding this around on Tatooine. You can see kind of towards the edges of all the paneling here, there's that pure metal underneath, the bare metal, and the texturing on the seat here, the upholstery, looks amazing. I love how textured it is, how there's almost like a little wash over it so that you can really, the light catches those details so nicely without making it look shiny, and I love that about it. The footrests look great as well. These are obviously a little bit more heavily sandblasted, and so is the front of the speeder. Again, just little details like that show the artistry of Hot Toys, showing off things like the more heavy sandblasting towards the front of the vehicle, especially the extra weathering there. You do have your handlebars, which are articulated. They don't articulate individually, but that's absolutely fine. All these wires are very malleable, so you don't have to worry about those breaking either. And you can even see the control panel on the front of the bike here, which looks great. It's on a very reflective print. Just basic primary colors, but again, that's really all I need at the 1/6 scale. This thing's awesome. You can see there is a little plug at the bottom for a little flight stand, and we will show that off when we get this thing all put together. Overall, this is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be in my mind's eye, and that's a really good thing because Hot Toys very quickly take up a lot of space. So I'm very happy that this is, one, properly scaled, but two, that it's not going to take up too much space on my display. display. We'll have the Sith Speeder off to the side as well. And moving on to the final layer of accessories for this set, we get to more like utilitarian stuff here. So for one, you do have the binoculars. These things are grimy, man, and I love the fake screws they put into the one side here just to give it all that extra detail. Just the buttons being painted the way they are, the lenses being actually clear and tinted are amazing, and that's just ridiculous. Again, over the moon levels of, you know, detail on these. I love it so much. And as you can see, these hands here are very clearly made to grip this accessory. I like that it's kind of like a pinch between the finger and the thumb, and the rest of the fingers do a good job of just kind of being there as an accessory here. Let's see if we can get Darth Maul to actually hold this. I won't lie, this was actually surprisingly easy to do. I thought this was going to be a lot more hassle than it was, but those arms have such great range of motion that this was so seamless to get him in that. And I'm just now noticing he's very angrily looking out those binoculars right now. I think one of my favorite inclusions of this entire set, though, has got to be the Seeker Droid. This thing, the way that that kind of hued, pearlescent, purple photoreceptor catches the light is just awesome. I love how there's like all the scratching on the metal kind of plating on the outside here. I love that detail. Even these photoreceptors here are tinted green clear plastic. Again, all the wires, just like on the Speeder, are very loose and malleable. I don't feel like these are going to snap at all. They're not brittle. And again, just the detail on something that as a kid I had the 3 3/4 inch toy of this and it was always so plain, but you know, to really see it in its final form in Hot Toys is amazing. Of course, this thing comes with its own set of accessories. You have an antenna here, which you do attach just by pushing that in, and then you do have the other antenna for this guy here, and you can kind of work that around as you please to really get it to look how you want it to. And obviously, it's Hot Toys. This guy's also going to have his own flight stand, so there is a little clear rod here and a little black base. You just plug the rod into the base, and then you plug the bottom of the droid has a hole there. You plug that in, and it's very nice. It is a little wobbly when you move it around, but I would say that it's not top heavy. I don't think that it's going to fall over, and that's awesome. Do I wish they had an option that was a little taller? Maybe. I feel like that's such a nitpick for just such a great extra inclusion for this set, and I'm very happy with it. Now, this next thing almost made me consider getting a second Darth Maul just for the display base. Look at the display base for Darth Maul. It's not your usual Imperial or Republic cruiser flooring. It is a flooring from the Naboo generator room where the Duel of Fates takes place. There's different texturing on the different pieces of the flooring. Some of it's reflective, some of it's not. It's literally amazing. And I wish that I would not have the Sith Speeder almost, so that I could just display him on this base here. But of course, with a set like this, if you're not going all out, what are you doing? So they literally go the extra mile yet again by giving you an extra kind of option for the flooring of this base, giving you just a basic textured Sands of Tatooine, lays on there perfectly, and once you have your stands on plugged in here, one or both, it's going to look perfect on the stands, and it's going to really give you that effect that he's on Tatooine. Especially when you have it this way, you can kind of see the depth of the waves of the Dune Sea. They do obviously give you a clear acrylic base for the Speeder. This one will be plugged into the center here, and I'll show you how that works in a little bit. And of course, with it being Darth Maul, I'm really glad they went with this option. Rather than the crotch grabber stand, they give you the flight stand option. So it's got a big metal rod that runs all the way through. You can kind of twist this and bend this at your will, and they do have the waist clip as well, and this can just be slid right over the rod here. Perfect setup. This is a perfect inclusion for this type of a character. And just wrapping things up with a few more utilitarian accessories here, not things you would pose with the figure at all. You do have, this is the tool they give you for moving the eyes, so you actually will use it like this, and you'll poke it up into the head, and you can move the eyes any which way. I can do it with my fingers. If you have fat fingers, though, it's good they give you an option. And then, of course, they give you extra accessories for the, you know, LEDs and all that stuff. So you have the micro USB port here, and they do give you 2 plugs, one for the Speeder and one for the Saber, which is very good. You have a switch here, and again, black, which matches the base and everything, everything, keeps it hidden. There is this little clip, which you can clip onto the power pack here, and you can actually clip this to the stand that I showed you for Darth Maul if you want to hide that there for the wiring. And they do also give you a different version, which is just more like a belt clip. And then finally, you get a couple extra, again, utilitarian accessories. These are extra little pieces for just if you lose something or if you need to repair something. They give you some extras of those smaller bits, and they do, as always, give you a pair of extra wrist pegs. God forbid your figure takes a shelf dive or you break a wrist peg when swapping hands, they do give you an extra set, and that is awesome, especially when you have multiple Hot Toys. You can really stockpile these, and it doesn't feel like you lost out or wasted your money if the figure breaks. And now I think I can say confidently that we finally have covered all of the accessories for this figure. So let's get him posed up a couple ways. I'll pose him without the Sith Speeder, and then I'll pose him with it at the end here. Obviously, I find it very fitting that one of the first poses we get Darth Maul into is one of his most iconic ones, being the beginning pose for the Duel of the Fates. This guy looks great with the lightsaber in hand, so easily posable. The rolling eyes really sell the illusion for me, again, for that realism. And again, just a fantastic figure. All these moving parts work together in such harmony that it really makes this figure so much fun and really easy to play around with, even though there are so many options and so many working parts. Here he is in a more action-y pose here, which I think looks amazing. These fighting poses, very easy again to get him into the two-handed saber-wielding poses, which is great. Again, it's part of his fighting style. We want that to be easy for this figure, so I'm glad that the figure is able to achieve that. Now this pose here, the fact that I'm able to get this guy in this one-legged pose, something so dynamic, no flight stand, no glue, no pegs, no nothing, speaks to not just the quality of the figure, but that he is a great center of gravity. And just, this is Darth Maul from the Phantom Menace, you know, running at you full speed, honestly giving me nightmares from Star Wars Battlefront 2, but needless to say, this figure's amazing. And here's another great one here. This is kind of him stalking Qui-Gon back and forth when they're waiting for those reflector shields to go up before Qui-Gon meets his untimely demise. I'm having way too much fun with this figure. I'm loving every single pose I get him into, and this thing really has the amount of options for you that you can really get everything from Maul for the entire movie. Alright guys, putting on the soft goods robe is a little bit of a pain, I won't lie, but as long as you put his arms behind him and you almost put it on like a coat, like you would a winter coat, if you're familiar with that in real life, it is actually pretty easy to get on the figure here. Once you get the hands through the sleeves, it is honestly not hard at all, but kind of maneuvering the arms behind him can be a little difficult. The wires on this thing make it so easy to get the hood to lay right as well. I mean, that's something that I'm really happy about. Honestly, one of my biggest points to give to this release is just how easy it is to get this guy to get that cloak on and get that hood sitting very nicely. And again, it literally comes with a clip so that you can attach it together, which is just absurd in my opinion. That's that level of detail you can get with this guy. And here is Lord Maul with that cloak on, looking absolutely amazing. I really can't get over, again, the silhouette that this gives off. I love this accessory here. All right, we'll set Maul off to the side. I'll show you guys how the stand all goes together, and then we will wrap things up. So we're gonna have this here. All you do is you're gonna plug the acrylic piece in. You're gonna want to feel it kind of like that pop into place. That's how you know it's in there securely enough. Then literally all you do is you just plug in your Sith Speeder here, and once that is secured, you can switch it any which way. I mean, it has a 360-degree swivel, which is awesome because I have plans for how I want this posed. And here we have our final pose for Darth Maul. This is probably going to be the one that makes the shelf for me. This guy is definitely going to be getting a lot of changes over time. I'm absolutely obsessed with this figure. Definitely one of the best Hot Toys in my collection right now. This is definitely worth a pickup, guys. If you're looking for something, maybe just as a one-off, something that feels extremely definitive for a Hot Toy, I think this Darth Maul is it. He literally comes with anything and everything you could ever want for a Phantom Menace Darth Maul. He's a great character, he's very striking in design, and he's a great villain as well. This is also genuinely just such a great first Hot Toy for your collection, as I think this will really give you everything that Hot Toys has to offer when it comes to quality and detail. But with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you are an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this review early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, check out the link to my Patreon in the description below for just $4.99 a month. If you're into the reviews here on YouTube, and that's about all you watch on my channel, you can check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. You get access to all my reviews early, as well as exclusive badges and priority replies in my comment section. You also get to vote on what I review next for the channel. And if you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, you could go check out Printify. I have the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on that site. The link to that is in the description below, as well as links to my Discord and all my social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 1-2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcements?